Well, things are heating up because why? Oh, I don't know. It's Thursday morning, so clearly that means that it's discovery time, and it is amazing what's happening. We get an amazing adventure this week, and I can't wait to talk all about it. So, well, let's get into all of this. Hey, Zora?
Yes, Mr. Know-It-Who?
Do me a favor. Run that intro, please.
Certainly.
What's up, my know-it-alls? Welcome aboard the USS Know-It-All. I am, of course, your captain, Mr. Know-It-All, and this week, we're talking about Star Trek Discovery. The episode is aptly titled Mirrors. And yes, that's right, just like it sounds, it's sort of this series' version of a mirror episode, which isn't obviously, I know that Discovery has actually been to the mirror universe, but this season, we hadn't really touched a whole lot of that. So in this episode, there's actually a couple of different plot threads, but overall, we stay in the primary story arc, which is, of course, the story of Locke and Maul, as well as the progenitor technology that they're seeking after. So, one of the things that I like about the episode immediately off the bat is that we get to see the ISS Enterprise.
ISS? It's mirror universe. How did it end up in interdimensional space?
So what's great is the ISS Enterprise we haven't seen since the original Mirror. So I love the fact that as a series, Discovery is not afraid to continue to visit legacy locations and things of that nature. And really, in the grand scheme of things, I think that's exactly where it always shines. What have I said before? When Discovery remembers it's part of a bigger legacy, that's when it ultimately kicks the most butt. You've seen in a clip, at least the clip that was released last week, the crew of the Discovery finds that where they were, the place where the time bug happened, is actually, you had to adjust the view screen so you could see past the normal spectrum. And what they saw and found was a collapsing and reopening wormhole.
Zora, adjust the view screen.
Of course, Lieutenant.
Now, this isn't the first time we've had a wormhole that can open and close. If you remember, Deep Space Nine's had one for quite some time. So, what does all this mean? Burnham has a moment where she says she's going to go on the away team. Now, I know a lot of people criticize her as being, I'm going to save the universe captain. I personally don't think it's any different than Kirk having to always have to be the one to save the universe, or Picard and them. I will say that she does tend to put herself in danger more often, I think, than is necessary. She decides that she's got to go ahead and jump into this thing, and ultimately, they make the decision to leave. She makes the decision to leave Raynor in charge. And at first, Raynor's very against this. He's very like, Captain, it's too dangerous for you, and this and that. And she takes the opportunity to tell him that she trusts him.
I know you can lead this crew, Commander. I believe in you.
Then she takes off. It's literally her and Book. They take a shuttle. They go into this wormhole thing with an opening and closing aperture. And what they find is Maul and Locke's ship has been destroyed. And then she says, the only way they could have got out is if they got on that. And that's when we see the ISS Enterprise. It's dope. They managed to get on board the Enterprise. And as they're walking around, it's funny, they've done some minor designs. Clearly, this is what the Strange New World sets have been doing between seasons. And you find out that there was actually a mutiny after the new council person, which we know to be Spock, tried to make reforms and changes, and they were ultimately hurt and damaged, and then they ended up falling into this little pocket dimension. And so what happens is they got away, whoever they were, into this universe. You later find out one of the scientists actually grew up, joined Starfleet, and then magically any information about her disappeared. Clearly, she was part of the science group that was investigating the progenitors technology. As you remember, Janal having told them, they took every opportunity to wipe any reference to them or their mission out of any database or many databases that they could find. But so that's where this whole thing comes in, because aboard this ship is another piece of the puzzle. We get the backstory for Locke and Maul, and you find out Locke is BREEN. Apparently, this is what the BREEN look like outside of their suits. And they say they have two faces. One is the translucent face that's underneath their helmets they wear, and then the other is the face you see of Locke's, which is it sort of rechameleonizes back into a solidified face. And apparently Maul was the one who was delivering dilithium. She was a courier who delivered dilithium to them on a regular basis. She got a better contract, but apparently the two of them fell in love, which, hey man, star-crossed lovers legit, I'm down. What ends up happening is the two of them are caught by Locke's uncle. At this point, Locke's uncle basically puts out the equivalent of a fatwa, but for the BREEN, it actually has a name. It's like an heiress or something like that. And essentially, it's a hit that is like, will follow them forever. Their whole point is to try to use this technology to barter their freedom and get this irremovable thing removed. Well, Burnham knows because she's seen the future. That cannot be allowed to happen because the minute the BREEN get their hands on this technology, Starfleet's done for. It's literally been shown in the future. So they meet. The four of them meet. Booker does his best to describe what's going to talk to Locke, to Maul rather, and ultimately there's a brief mini shootout, and then Maul accidentally shoots a terminal that forces force fields because plot and reasons. Totally fine with that, whatever. And so what happens is, Book is like, look, I can go to the bridge, I can fix this, I'm gonna need your help. And him and Maul head up to the bridge. While they're there, they're talking. He's taking the opportunity. That's how we're getting the backstory. She's telling them stuff. And ultimately, Book is trying to explain, listen, I know he may have been a crap dad, meaning the original Cleveland Book, her father. But he always talked about you, this and blah, blah, blah. And he starts to convince her that he can help.
Talked about you a lot, Cleveland. And the look in his eyes when he did, for what it's worth, he loved you. But I'm sorry for what you went through because of it.
Both of them are convincing the other person until they don't. So in the end, they manage, because she gets impatient, she forces a surge to go through the power conduit system, which causes explosions. The shuttle, because plot and reasons, gets disengaged from the ship. I don't fully grasp that, but whatever. I mean, it literally helps the story continue on forward. I'm fine with that. And so what happens is, as the ship is being released, they have to now navigate the Enterprise back toward the thing. So earlier in the episode, Burnham had used a Kelleran proverb at Rayner. So meanwhile, Rayner's got everybody working communication stuff and whatnot. They now have you see a tractor beam coming out of the aperture and it's flashing. Kind of like Morse code, but for the Kellerans. The Morse code essentially is a line from this proverb. Luckily, he understands it because that's a really complicated way to go, but whatever. In the end, they make it out. She manages to have the next clue, as well as a vial of some sort of liquid. So that's apparently, and hopefully that liquid is going to lead them to the next clue after that. Right now, they're very close to finding and completing this mission. I love that idea. I think it's a really good one. So we'll see ultimately where that all plays out. So there you go. Now you know. And if you always have the battle, you're halfway, but you know it all yourself. What's it all index for this episode? Well, I liked it. It was a little sloppy in some areas. You can tell that this is the part of the season which this is a Discovery-ism, which is, this is a part of the season when things have to get messy. By that I mean, the plot needs to plot, and unfortunately they've kind of written themselves into a bit of a box in certain areas. So what do? Contrivances and things start to happen. By the way, this is not unique to Discovery. This is the kind of thing that happens in many series all over the place. And so I'm not holding it against the series whatsoever. But ultimately, I think that this is not a filler episode. It's definitely a bridge episode. Events here are actually leading us elsewhere. This whole entire episode served to give us some greater character understanding of Locke and Maul, but ultimately to get the MacGuffin, which is that last piece of the thing. So with all that kept in mind, I'm gonna give this episode a solid 7.5 out of 10. All right, guys, let me know what you thought of the episode. Comment below. I would love to hear and discuss, how do you feel about this? I know that I think that sometimes you do get sloppy episodes, but again, that's with any series whatsoever. But either way, hey, do me a favor. If you want to get caught up on everything happening in Discovery, go ahead and click that playlist right there for me. And if you want to get caught up on last week's episode, you can click that video right there. All right, guys, until next time, never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all.